Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty with another edition of this week's vlog. If you haven't followed me, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a middle-aged man on the autism spectrum. We've been living that most of my life. I was diagnosed at the age of 13 in 1998. And I've been living this life that we call autism. And we've learned and grown. I've been living on my own for over 7 years now. And I've been working for over 15, almost 16 years now. And we've been living life just with autism and learning how to go through the struggles of life. So, we're starting into 2026. And this is a new year which brings new opportunities, new ways to start with a refresh of a new year. Growing up, I liked the film Forrest Gump. It was a great film, and I think many people that are of the older ages, or maybe some of the younger, may know it too. But one of the ladies that they invite over for New Year's when they film that part of the movie is that you get a new fresh start, and you do. In fact, there's a lot of things that get a fresh start. When I go back to weight loss support group on Monday night, I will get a fresh start. And so I felt the same way about this year, having a fresh new year with new stability, more cleanliness, more, routine, trying to be more active, trying to be more going. And so that kind of leads into, finding what is my normal. And, there's nothing, in that same vein, in that same movie, you know, um, Mama, played by Sally Field in the beginning, goes, well, what is normal anyway? Well, we don't know what normal is, but as an autistic person, I need to find what my normal is, and I'm working to do that. And the last, I would say, 7 or so years have been a lot of mistakes, a lot of things that I've not done properly to care for my mental health, a lot of things that I haven't been doing right. And the latter part, most of 2025 was getting on that path or working my way on that path. And I want to continue that path in 2026. But it takes work and it takes practice and it takes finding what that new normal is, and working through it and being consistent and having, more adherence to things and knowing, the dangers of what not doing things that you shouldn't do. It's learning all those things, but we already know those things. So, it's working through those, understanding those, getting through those, and knowing that, things do happen, but we can be flexible. But there are still things that make us be stable, have us have a solid plan, have solid footing, and knowing how to manage things better. Um, I know that I need things to work in the way that they do and be the way that they need to be for them to work. So I'm doing what I need to do. And it's taken a long time for me to understand that. But it's also taking me time to understand this has been the first time that I've really been stable for a long time in over 7 years. And it takes finding what is that routine for me? What is that normal? Because I may have lived on my own for 7 years, but I've not been stable in those 7 years for a lengthy period of time to where I know that, I know what I need to do, but I know what I don't need to do either, and I need to avoid getting into situations that can be cumbersome or not so much as cumbersome as they set me up to set me back. And it's important not to do that for me. I have to do what's right. And that may mean, when there's downtime or times when you feel isolated or, upset or not knowing what to do, you have to find ways to fill that void in the ways that you can. And this year, I'm hoping to do more. I'm hoping to work on that. I'm hoping to get out of that rut that I'm in while not feeling overly anxious and not letting my anxiety control me as much as it once did. A lot of things have happened this year in some ways to make the anxiety lessen and know that there's stability with some things so that, we don't have to be in subjectual error, anxiety, from time to time that things could go the way they were like last year, being in anxiety or not having certainty. Things have finally in some way come to fruition to provide me a little bit of relief in some way that I know things are going to be stable. I know that what I need to do. I know what I need to work on. I know, it's very important to keep those things, but it's also important to find more of the things that I like, find people to connect to, find a way of belonging more, find a way of just learning how to relax and rest a little more and knowing that that is perfectly acceptable. You don't have to be on all cylinders all the time. You don't have to keep going. Now, granted, isolation it can set you up. It is kind of like what somebody had once told me, the devil's workshop. And I think that that is true to some degree because I know it and I know that I still need things like day services and in addition to working part-time. Even though there is, some advances in that and that I have to have learned to be more flexible, understanding and knowing, more about maturity in myself, I still need day services not only for my own mental health, which I've been working on the last few years, but maybe moving on to other goals in the future this year and that it is something that I still need. And once that I feel that it is not needed, I will feel that in some way, either if I cannot find a goal, then I will leave and find something productive to do on the other days. But it's fine. It's knowing that and knowing that, there's things that I just have to do to stay stable, stay well, be well, and have that stability that I want to have in 2026, that cleanliness, that routine, and hygienic thing. I just want to have all those things in 2026. I want 2026 to be better. And part of that is finding what is that normal for me? What will work for me? What will find, what will work, what won't work. Those sort of things. You think, you know, what does it take to make it work? What does it take to make it, make life good and get through things, even as hard as it can be sometimes? There is a reality that it's gonna work, and I'm hoping that this year is going to be a good year because I'm holding on to hope. I'm believing that things are gonna work. I know that things that are needed for it to work. I know I can't go and make destructive decisions like I did in the past. That doesn't do anything good for me. I know it physically, I know it mentally. I think it's not just knowing physically and mentally. I think it's just adhering to what I know I need to do and not falling to the wayside and not, not ignoring the need to take care of myself and do what I need to do until it's too late. There's been too many times in my life that I've been given chances and latitude, and we move forward into 2026 with some new people in our life and some new expectations. And I have to understand that, I'm not going to be given as much latitude or chances as I have in the past. And, the way of the world, the way it is today, that, that stability, that, second chance, you know. you have to learn, why things are important and how they're important in life and why, you need to have them in your life because they are what makes things as successful as you need them to be for you. And for some time I've ignored that. Sometimes my mental health has not allowed me to see that. Sometimes the way things were did not bring things in a good light and caused additional stress on me. And it's good to say that now, officially in 2026, a good bit of that is gone. I think most of it is gone. And, I think that's a good thing. It's taken all the approvals and, things are just finally set to work to be better. And, that's just a reality. And, it's something that I'm proud of and it gives me the right tools to ensure that I can be well, I can stay well. I can live independently. I can do what I need to do. Yes, and another thing is, I can admit that I am disabled and that I need supports in whatever fashion that may be, so that I can be able to do the things that I need to do to thrive in the world, and instead of just working to survive or be without necessary supports, and not feel that, I'm always on edge, not thinking or knowing that something's not going to be there all the time. I think, it's just understanding that. Um, Things are the way they are, and God always has a plan. As I work to devote myself to Christianity more this year, and I have for many years, but not as much as I have so far this year. And I think part of that is knowing that you have to have the faith and you have to trust in the Lord, and that things will work out for you. And in fact, I think that's what makes me keep going and keeps doing things because I know I can never give up. I can't, not not give up on something because, I'm feeling anxious or burdensome. That's a common statistic, in the autistic community that, people do give up on things. And I'm the one who will prove time and time again I can do whatever it takes to push through what I need to do and experience that normal, in whatever fashion it may be. And it's always said, you will never see someone try so hard to get the things that they want as an autistic person. And I think that's very true in some ways because there are things that I have wanted and done in the past that, I have done and have accomplished a lot on my own. And maybe I didn't admit that I was disabled just because I didn't want that shame, or I didn't want that to put in that extra effort to get the help that I need and not see that. Um, you know, and that was, maybe a mistake that I made, or maybe not the best idea. But going forward, I can see, even as much as last year as I didn't want to admit I had a disability or things, or I had barriers to things that others could see it, but I couldn't. That, things are a necessity sometimes for certain reasons, and they have to be what they have to be. And even if it is just, admitting that, I do have a disability and that things have to be in place for a certain reason, just in case XYZ doesn't work, or maybe it makes things a little easier for me, and than what I would have to do, by going into the real world and experiencing things. I think that's just, that has to be, and I should not be ashamed of myself for that. I'm grateful for the people and the opportunities that allow to see me as the one who has the capability and the ability instead of the disability, because when we go out into the everyday normal world, that may not always be the case. We may not always be accommodated as autistic individuals, and things could be seen to be as hard or harder than what, you know, they are, for anybody. But they would make them extra hard for us or not accommodate us in the way that they would need to. And sometimes we don't see things that way, but as we move into 2026, I'm starting to find what my normal is, what's normal behavior, what's acceptable behavior, what's a normal routine look like, what does a normal day for me look like? When do I need to take extra care for myself? When do I need to practice self-care? And so on. I think those are some of the things that I'm ready to look at in 2026, and I'm ready to have a better year going ahead. So, with that being said, I want to be sure to make sure that everybody likes this video if you like it. Share, follow, subscribe always. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, Pinterest, and now TikTok under Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That address is www.dustinsdynastyusa.com. All my content, all my links, all my podcasts, all my links and everything, my socials, is on Linktree. That handle is Dustin's Dynasty under Linktree. And lastly, I want to thank you for listening. Let's have a great 2026, a good weekend this weekend for our first weekend of the year. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Remember, you're loved, you matter, you are enough. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk at you soon. Bye for now.